Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release, playing the video games released 42 years ago today. Are you ready to go back to November 1982? Last episode, everyone, was karate fighting. Well, sort of. Very blocky, jerkily, and you may not have hit anyone. Let's see what our next release is. We're next going to the arcade to play Kozmik Krooz'r. So cool. If you haven't seen this one in real life, go to an arcade and play it right now. We are going to witness Kozmik Krooz'r. First released in the arcades right here. Here's the advertisement flyer. I mean, look at that alien. Look at the design of that alien. This was done by the artist Brian Cullen. Way to go, Brian. If anyone knows what this game is anyone familiar with the game Cosmo by Apogee Software in the 90s for MS-DOS? This alien gives me lots of vibes of Cosmo, but it's going to be way in the future before we ever see him. But you got to admit, very, very well done, very cartoonish, and it makes you want to play the game in the arcade. It's the exciting new way to space out, and that's what we all want to do. This marks the 477th game we've played in the arcade here on Chronologically Gaming. This extraterrestrial can't phone home. They're already capitalizing off of ET here with the advertisement. Awesome. Flip it over the back, and it's by Bally Midway. This is made the 12th game that Bally Midway's done. We've seen here on the show. There's no space like home, and this arcade cabinet has a lot. We're going to zoom in a little bit, but look at this. This has a lot going for it, and they have an example of what the UFO looks like. Just bear in mind, we're going to be seeing different things for whenever you look inside this arcade cabinet, because it's meant to give this 3D effect. It's amazing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. If anyone remembers Cosmo, doesn't he look like that? He looks like that to me. Here's the arcade cabinet. There's a lot going on with this one. It is only an upright model, and you can see they're going to be using lots of smoke and mirrors to provide reflection, but also look at the controls. Look at this. This is using what appears to be the Tron joystick, and if you look over on the left side, this is using a spinner to aim, and when you push this down, it looks like you're using that as your shield. So you're using the trigger of the joystick to fire. You're turning the spinner to aim your craft, and then you're pushing down for the shield. The color scheme of this reminds me of something you would have seen at Chuck E. Cheese's too. Did anyone play this at Chuck E. Cheese? I didn't, but this really looks like a system that would pop at Chuck E. Cheese. This input is brand new. There's no other game that's doing this in the arcade, which is an analog joystick. By the way, that's not a digital joystick. That's an analog joystick with a spinner. The very first time we've ever seen that. Bizarre. Yeah, emulation and MAME is trying to simulate this. They're not going to do it justice. They try to do it as an 8-way, but yeah, it's not doing what you could play in the arcade. So just remember, you got to go in the arcade to play it yourself. Here's the arcade marquee for Kozmik Krooz'r, starting the moniker of everything begins with K, but we've seen a few games that do that too. Nothing's original unless you're in 1982. There's an example of the screenshot, still not doing the game justice. We have the operator's manual for Kozmik Krooz'r by Bally Midway. Let's see if they explain anything about how to play or just general game concept. Yeah, doesn't it look like the Tron joystick? It's got to be the Tron joystick. Refabricated here. We're going to breeze by all the table of contents, lots of technical information. We're not putting together any arcade cabinets here on Chronologically Gaming. We just want to get to the games. It's a new game for 1 or 2 players, arcade's hot seat style 2-player game. When playing the game, you're controlling force. It's up to you to direct your player successfully through the game course. Your job is to give guidance and provide offensive and defensive strategy to enable your player to overcome all obstacles. That had to have been written by an exec. That was boring as hell. Your opponent's going to use every trick in the book, and maybe even new ones, but I do like how Bally Midway does this. If you look at the game objective, the objective of the game is to have fun, survive as long as possible while constantly improving your skills, advancing to the highest rack that you can. As you do this, each following rack of the game will have more and more greater obstacles for you to overcome, and in general will be harder to complete. Yes, that's about it. As far as major features go, they go over technical innovations, and we're going to go over those too as we play the game. But that's about it as far as the operator manual goes. Let's go to the arcade and play Kozmik Krooz'r. This is done by Rich Clark, Bally Midway, in the beginning of November 1982. Way to go, Rich. Look at this. Bask in the game. It's really, really cool. The whole presentation. They're trying to, this emulation, make it look like something you would have seen before, but it's really totally brand new. The artwork on the outside is really nice, cosmicified, and they have at the bottom instructions, the controls on how to play. You're going to be moving the joystick and firing the joystick, and then aiming with the spinner, so you have a full degree of aim. And I'll do my best, but you're not going to get the best experience unless you play this in the arcade. Let's put a coin in. And go. Oh, they're right into it. I love it. So look at the enemies. Very, very detailed. So I'm able to move Kozmik all the way around. Look at that guy. He has so much personality. For a video game character right now, I think we're getting what appears to be the same, like, higher resolution sprites. I don't even think they're technically called sprites here, but the characters are very large and detailed, very similar to what we saw in Satan's Hollow. Like, it was a different level. Oh no, they got us. If you get stuck in the vortex, then you're going all over the place. Essentially, all you got to do in this game is you're going to rack up bonus points destroying everybody, but all you got to do is make it to the force field at the top. So the top of the screen is where all you need to go. The reason why the force field is intermittently turning on and turning off is because there's something that this emulator is not showing you. Oh, here we go. We can put in our initials. Nice. C, H. Wait, there's no other letter. You can only put in your first and last name. It is true initials, not even a middle initial. Yeah, it totally looks like the Galaga tractor beam, doesn't it? I see that too. But it really doesn't function the same way as the Galaga tractor beam. You don't get to have a double ship or double firepower. What you see here is all the firepower you're going to get. Man, you really need to destroy enemies fast. It's meant to be like it's honestly like a multi-directional shooter. One of the very first video games we ever played was a multi-directional shooter. And here we go. We get to the second round. Now you can blow up some of these atoms, and it blows up everybody on the screen. But all you got to do is make it to the tractor beam. If you get up enough times, you're going to go see several different enemy types. You can see here we got ones that are raining down like asteroids. And I think we got another high score. Yeah, our ranking is 2, doing pretty good. Put in our 2 letters. That's really strange for an arcade game. Why are they letting us put in only 2? All right, let's put another coin in and go. Fire that button. So Kozmik Krooz'r may have been actually co-released with another game called Wacko, which we are going to see, I think, around 1983. But Wacko may not actually be a true prequel to this game. There's very few probably produced in the first place, so it's tricky to pin down when Wacko was released. I know we'll see it probably sometime around 1983, but it is possible that it was produced and created around this exact same time as this game. So Wacko is kind of part of the series, kind of not part of the series. If you were expecting Wacko, we won't see that one until later. Oh, love it. Sound effects are spot on too. I love it. Kozmik Krooz'r is also available as a pack of games later in 2004 called Midway Arcade Treasures 2. Oh, nice. And what they do for the ship gives you a better understanding of what it's like to play the game. Because the top of the screen isn't exactly what the UFO looks like. The UFO is rotating and moving around. It almost looks like a 3D hologram when you play this in the arcades. Whoa, look at this. The different enemy types. So part of this game is almost like bridging the gap between the golden age of arcade games and then the future. The resolution of the sprites reminds me of something we'd see in the future, but this style of gameplay is very reminiscent of the golden age of arcades. However, the control scheme is extremely unique. There isn't anything that's trying to do what... Oh man, I love that power-up. It's awesome. Being able to control with the joystick and the spinner. All right, here we go. We got the bonus round. Check out this. You have to deposit all this junk for the extra cruiser. So I actually get to fly around as Cosmo. Look at that guy. Bring it to the pad. Nice. And you're just trying to collect as much junk as you can. Watch out for the different areas are there. Just grab it. Can I get my... There you go. Get some more. Oh, no, they're making the barrier around. And I think that's it. It's just timing based. So fun little bonus round too. I love it. All right, so let me do something a little different too. Because of the view, let me zoom this in so you can see a little bit better, at least the high quality. There we go, much better. Now you can kind of get a better idea of seeing what Cosmo looks like. In the arcade, though, it would be farther away like that first view we had, because you're meant to be looking through several panes of glass. It's a great effect, and it's doing something a little different in the arcade. So it controls a little different than anything we've seen before, and the 3D hologram-ish looking image is awesome. It likens back to when we played arcade games in the 70s, when they used the overlay to provide color and different things. It's great. Yeah, very, very weird. The character Cosmo is kind of like we were saying in the chat. He reminds me of Robbie Roto, a very good game, really great idea for a character, but you never heard of him before. But I mean, he's got a lot of personality. The way that the way that he's displayed on the screen is very well done. It's charming. It's very cartoony. And he didn't get his own cartoon, and yet Pac-Man has its own cartoon right now. Just some of those mascots don't get their due. What in the world is flying across the screen? It looks like a witch or a wizard. It is. It does. It looks like a wizard flying across. This is wild and wacky. And I love it. It's so fun. Yes, and Pac-Man has a hit single. There needs to be more of those, too. Oh, there we go. Nice. Yeah, really fun to play because of how well using the spinner. The shield, though, I forget about the shield every time that I play. You can have a shield to block yourself, too. Go, go. Enter your 2 letters. I can't think of another arcade game that only allows you to do 2 letters. That's very bizarre. Yeah, but this would attract a lot of people. The 3D display at the top and the control scheme, especially with that giant Tron joystick. Everyone would want to play on that. Yeah, this is great. Yep, that's right. So really, really fun. There you go. That's just a quick taste of Kozmik Krooz'r. Now, I'd like to do something that is a little breaking the rules, but because of that Midway Arcade Treasures game that I had alluded to before, I want to show you what it would be like to play if you had the actual holographic image in your mind. So here we go. This is Kozmik Krooz'r, as if you were going to play it in the arcade. This is based on the Midway Arcade Treasures 2 bundle. So what you're looking at here is another fabrication, it's another emulation, but it's kind of showing you what the UFO is really doing. So if you play this on modern systems, this is a good way to do it, because you can see a little bit of what the UFO is intending with that Galaga-style tractor beam. The other thing, though, is you still aren't going to get the true control scheme. What they did here, this was footage from the PlayStation 2. What they're trying to give you is the almost like twin stick shooter, which in a way you are doing that because you have to aim and move at the same time, but you still aren't going to get the same kind of control you would see in the arcade. But cool idea. This is kind of showing you what you would expect to see. Love it. All right, so now it comes down to what would you give this of all the arcade games you could play up to this point? Now, I know we played 477 of these games in the arcade, but you're not going to see most of those from the 70s right now in November 1982. But I'd still say this is excellent. Of all the games you could play, it's doing lots of things new and fresh. It's also providing some old school themes to it. I wouldn't want to call it one of the best arcade games you could play up to this point, but it definitely would rake in a lot of quarters. Maintaining this is another big thing. If you can get one of these and actually play it, yeah, the holographic background, I'm seeing a couple 4s, 1 3.5 star of all the games you could play up to this point. I like the unique control scheme. Here on the show, since we play everything, anything that gives us something new we haven't seen before, I always give it props for that. Yeah, I love it too, Brad. I'm going 4 stars for Kozmik Krooz'r. All right, after that release, we have to leave the arcade, sadly, and see what our next game is. Coming up next, it's Lost Luggage on the Atari VCS or Atari 2600. Let's check out some Lost Luggage. Here's the box. Oh, it's an old school Apollo box. Nice. Now, we technically should have already seen Lost Luggage because there's 2 versions of this game. The Blue Label version contains an extra opening scene where the character brings out one of your reserved suitcase icons, and the fire button won't restart the game. The version that we're seeing, or the version I thought was the later version, and that's why we're seeing it now in November 1982. But there was an original older version of Lost Luggage too. This one is only available on the Atari 2600, and it's the 171st game we've played on the console that everyone wants to have right now. Nice, your flight just landed, you try to retrieve your luggage from the automatic carousel. Suddenly it runs amok, throwing suitcases into the air. Man, I hate it when that happens. Here's the other artwork we have for Lost Luggage. Oh man, besides the box, whether the new or old box, there we go. That's the newer box. So the original one that we should have already seen was this box for by Apollo. And this is kind of reminiscent to the other Apollo releases that we've seen. This marks the 10th game that we played by Apollo, and all of them have been on the Atari 2600. That looks just terrible. Luggage flying everywhere. There's the cartridge we're going to pop in our Atari to play with an example of, there we go, the newer cartridge as well. So the 2 different versions, sure, we'll play both of them, why not? Here's the manual for Lost Luggage. 1 or 2 players, 6 exciting game variations. Yes, bring on the game variations. I'm ready to catch my luggage. Airplanes land in the background as you attempt to retrieve your luggage from the airport. That's all the lore we get. Very small amount of story, but I love it. All right, so then we have the setup. 1 or 2 players using the Atari VCS joystick. Control at the top. Why do they give us this symbol? Like, we have to know it's all the 8 directions. Yes, we understand for the Atari. The difficulty switch will allow you to give 2 suitcase catchers or 1 suitcase catcher if you move the difficulty switch back and forth. And then we have the luggage allotment, different game options. In the 2-player option, players alternate with each wave like hot seat style. But there is other game modes. There's the terrorist suitcase option and the random black terrorist suitcases among them. Striking the floor, and the game will end immediately and explosively. And then we have to tilt our head on the side, but the back of it has the game variation rubric. Yes, the grid that we've seen since the beginning. That's what I love. More game variations. Yes, Manly, it's the same carousel from 1982. Something's wrong there. This is available as the 2 alternate versions. Let's pop and play the first version of Lost Luggage. This is by Ed Salvo and Ernie Runyon. Ooh. And the beginning of November 1982. I'll lower the airplane volume just a little bit. It's coming in a little hot. This marks the 4th game that we've seen by Ed Salvo after Skeet Shoot, Racquetball, and Space Chase. Larry Miner also did the sound on this one. Way to go, Larry, with the airplane sound. Okay, so I can, right off the bat, flip the difficulty switch, and you can see I can get 1 or 2 people down at the bottom. I'm going to have 2 picking up my luggage. And let's go ahead and hit reset and go. Oh, nice. So move left and right. Wow, yeah. Larry bringing on the tunes for the Atari. That's awesome. All right, I'm ready. Where's the luggage? Here comes the carousel. Look at the top animation. Yes, this is it. Uh-oh, uh-oh. If it hits the wall... Oh, look! I can't pick up any of the pieces, can I? No, I can't. Oh, now look at me like an idiot, moving left and right when it's not just left and right. Oh, look at that. You can go up. How high can you go? And you can just pick up that luggage. Nice. Apollo. They're doing the tried and true method, which is taking something that's already existed and just improving upon it, making it fun. Now, this is obviously based on the arcade game Avalanche. It's the 12th video game we've played up to this point that's a variant of Avalanche. It's going to progressively get faster and faster. Oh yeah, go, go, go. Because I can move up to the screen, it almost feels like I'm cheating. Because I'm used to only going, one plane down at the bottom. But in true Avalanche form, they aren't providing you multi-levels to catch. But I mean, look at this. Since I can move to the top, it feels like I have more freedom. This is only played with the Atari VCS joystick, so it doesn't use paddle controls like we've seen with some other Avalanche variants. But it's actually working all right. You know you could get more fine-tuned controls if you had the paddle. Uh-oh. Here comes the craziness. Oh my gosh, the luggage is everywhere. I love all the other pieces of clothing flying around you, right? Yeah, why do we need all this luggage? It's Her Royal Highness's matched luggage. I'm amazed that we're catching it all. It's really fun. So here on consoles, some of the best ways to play Avalanche, of course, is going to be Kaboom. You got to compare that to Kaboom. Kaboom used the paddle control, so I would say that one gives a slight nod to the controls in this one, even though this is working great. Most of the really good Avalanche variants, though, you're going to find on home computers, like the Avalanche version that Atari brought to the Atari home computer. Then we also had Chicken, very well done. Starship Chameleon on the TRS-80 color computer. That uses that analog joystick, and they did have a paddle control for it. And Popcorn was another really good one. All right, so in this, I want to show you the other version that gives you kind of a little opening screen to play, which is really nice. So here we go. This is the other version that you could play. Ready, set. We get a little opening start of the game. Just slightly better presentation, but then it continues as it does before. So there's other game variations in this too. Like one of them is you can have explosive suitcases that'll occasionally appear, and if they if you catch that suitcase, the game immediately ends because you blow up, which is awesome. And then you have a suitcase control option too, that if two people are playing the game, one of them is able to control the direction of the suitcases as they travel down, which is a really nice touch. So you have a two-player game that you expect this to be like a hot seat multiplayer in the arcade, but you can actually have another player control the suitcases and then mess up the game for you. So the game variations, once again, give this the nod or a nudge, considering the other games you could be playing that are the Avalanche-style game. So really well done. A free suitcase is earned whenever you get to the third digit, either 4 or 8, like 400, 800, or 1400, but the manual doesn't bring this up. So very well done, Apollo. For a game that we almost missed, but this was the later version, I'd still say this is awesome. A really, really cool game to play and fun game to play. Of all the games you can play right now across all home consoles, Lost Luggage is not really as many Avalanche variants as you'd expect, but it's still fun. I gave Kaboom around the average range for all the games you could play up to this point, and I'm seeing in the chat mostly 3 stars too. Yeah, for all the titles you could play, I actually would have said 2.5, because it's a simplistic concept. It's executed very, very well, but because of those variations, I want to notch it up to 3. Ah, there you go. Psychosis going 2.6. Yeah, so I'll say 3. Even Mark's saying 3.5. Lots of good ratings, at least average, for all the games you can play across all home consoles. If you want to play some better Avalanche games, go to home computers. All right, after that, let's see what our next game is. We're next going to the United Kingdom to play on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. This is Lunar Landing. Not to be confused with Lunar Landing on the Altair 8800 or Lunar Landing on MS-DOS by Bruce Guthrie. This is a completely different one. This one marks our 127th game we've played on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and it's part of the Cambridge Color Collection. Don't you find it funny that the scan of this is completely in black and white when it's supposed to be the color collection? It's 20 programs you're going to type in, all by Richard Francis Altwasser, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, with an example of the screenshot, and that's it. That's all we got. Yes, so let's type it in play, Lunar Landing, by Richard Francis Altwasser in the beginning of November, or whenever you typed it in 1982. I'm expecting very little. Our task is to land the lunar module safely on the moon's surface at the correct place. It's a lunar lander game. This marks the 20th lunar lander game that we played. Now, bear in mind, the very first lunar lander was pretty much text only, where you're having to type in coordinates, and based on how much typing you provide for thrust, it'll determine if you land or not. When we played in the arcade, that was one of the first graphic versions of the lunar lander going down, and you have to use your thrust. But this might take after the mainframe version, I'm pretty sure. Now, we've already seen Richard Francis Altwasser. This is the third game that we've seen him do after Othello and Android Nim. Android Nim, I think, was also part of the Cambridge Color Collection. So let's see what happens when we do this. We have to use left, right, or vertical, pressing Q or P, okay? And we can thrust using the keys 1 through 9. So we have the 9 keys, and the correct landing place has a horizontal position. Scroll, yes, we do. Ooh, nice. The keys don't react immediately. They are scanned every second. Oh, gosh. And we already have the really spongy ZX Spectrum keyboard, so I'm scared of what's going to happen. We're going to crash again, most likely. Here we go. They said P and Q. Got it. Oh, look, they do have a graphic. I thought it was going to be all text. Now, this is a type-in game. I wasn't expecting text, but we do have a little ship on the side. All right, so we have no vertical direction. Our height is slowly going down. Let's give me some vertical. I'm going to give us some thrust. I don't know if it's representing us correctly, though. So we're thrusting at jets 2. I'm looking on the side. We're still slowly going down. Let's go thrust 3. Or 4? It's not thrusting. Give me more. More power. We're definitely going to crash. So this little graphic on the side is more impressive than what you would have seen in mainframes from the 70s, but you got to admit it's still very, very simplistic. We have played some lunar landing games that were just the text version on home computers. Oh, that's true, Paul. And we've crashed plenty here on the show. Go. Thrust it. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I have to hold it down. That's why it wasn't working. Okay, give me 5. Thrust 5. Yeah, there we go. You have to hold and wait for a few seconds. Wow, talk about delay. So when we play action games and there's a slight delay in the controls, I usually have something to complain about. But here, this is me waiting for a delay for a lunar lander game. And I do have control of the ship. Can I you can turn it, but you have to. It's only 45-degree angles. Oh my goodness. Yeah, look at this. So you can turn to the side. Let's go full on thrust 9. It's doing it. I'm turning, but I honestly don't know if I have control over... Yeah, you have left and right horizontal position, so you can totally turn to the side and destroy this. But look at the frame rate of this. This is trying to give you some form of graphics, but... Now, Jupiter Landing, Mark, is a really great game. We played that one. Very, very fun. This one is even more simulation than the other lunar lander games that were typical to playing. Because we played on the Commodore Max machine, Jupiter Lander, and then Lunar Lander on some other systems. But yeah, we definitely crashed. That frame rate, though, I believe that was the lowest frame rate. They may as well have just done text. That was crazy how low that was. Good gosh. Okay, there you go. That's a lunar landing for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. It's noble. It's a type-in game. They did give us some kind of graphic, but I feel like they shouldn't have done that. Looking over in the chat, yes, all in basic, Curtis. That's right. This was Brad has already thrown out 1 star. Yeah, of all the games you can play up to this point, I'm gonna have to agree. It is functioning. It is a type-in game. It does have a lot to go against other computers, but yeah, 1 star for lunar landing. Way, way down there. Yikes. Yeah, maybe they should have. And even Curtis is saying 1 star too. We do play everything here, and there you go. That's proof. All right, it's time to put our video game playing on pause. We have no more quarters in the arcade to play Kozmik Krooz'r, but we're going to keep playing this crazy quest every single video game in order of release. Be sure to stay tuned for the rest of the week. We got some great games coming up. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, you'd be surprised it's not the worst scramble variant we have played. And the most 80s action movie gets turned into a video game. That's it for today, and like I always say, 384 pixels per TV line is just enough for me. Join Chronologically Gaming and special guest Howard Scott Warshaw for the release of Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T. for the Atari 2600. For the first time, the creator of these games will be here live in November 1982 to play the games, rate the games, and we may even answer some questions from the chat. We'll see you there. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.